This presentation is brought to you by
The Abominable Book Club, the UK's best horror thriller subscription book club.
In perhaps the biggest sequential boss battle since Link fought Calamity Ganon and Dark Beast Ganon back-to-back in Breath of the Wild, Amberlynn this past week found herself facing the biggest threat to her public platform from a nemesis absolutely no one expected. After Emily's brief team-up with Mr. Snowflake, in which she explained the toxic and extremely volatile nature of their flabby fling, rumours circulated that Emily had scampered back between Amber's folds like a cockroach under a beanbag, and Amberlynn looked to have dodged her long-awaited comeuppance once again. Despite publicly exposing herself as an abuser,
I'm gonna go ahead and say, the way that I would react, my reaction to, the way that she would treat me, or my reaction to the lies, my reaction to the betrayal, my reaction to the secrets, my reaction to the emotional abuse, etc., can absolutely be seen as abuse. 100%.
and a feedy,
Damn, I look fat. I can lose weight now.
and with insurmountable evidence that she had willingly murdered her own cat for a second chance at an entirely different type of pussy, Amber returned very quickly to the smug status quo of her members' lives. This normality, however, was short-lived. It seems Amberlynn had delved too greedily and too deep into the minds of Moron. She awoke something far older and far more powerful from the bowels of the Amberverse. A foreboding figure from her past that had, until now, lay dormant.
Aunt Tammie.
The fabled Aunt Tammie, sister to Mama Lynn and long-standing thorn in Amber's side, has been a semi-constant figure of accountability in Amberlynn's waddle through life. Whether it's opening her home to a drug-addled Mama Lynn and her brat of a niece decades prior, to calling Amber out publicly on YouNow and Kiwi Farms for seemingly endless petty lies over the years, Aunt Tammie has never been afraid to confront our girl with a bit of harsh reality. This time, the chosen platform for Tammie's grievances was the live streams of Gorlworld provocateur and completely normal family man, oh lordy it's Geordie. After calling Tammie live on air, Geordie gave her the floor and allowed her to let loose some thoughts about Amber's current situation, including her willing self-destruction by feederism and exploitation of Mama Lynn. According to Tammie, she had been thrown to the wayside as soon as Amber arrived in Oklahoma, and despite living less than 20 minutes away, Amber never made the effort to contact or visit Tammie without the presence of Mama Lynn. Tammie and Mama Lynn are currently embroiled in some inter-family drama involving an inheritance, which has tensions high between the two sisters, and it seems Amberlynn has been using that as a convenient excuse not to visit the only person in her life that expects more from her. It's blatantly obvious to me why Amber wants nothing to do with Tammie. Ever since we first heard about her, Tammie has been an outspoken advocate for Amber's health and longevity, applying pressure on Amber to eat healthy, exercise, and save her own life, which is more than you can say for Amberlynn's own mother. Aunt Tammie wouldn't be stopping off at the ice cream parlour on the way home from the emergency room.
I need to hurry up, finish getting ready, and I will check in with you guys later.
So me and my mom got these frozen yogurt.
Aunt Tammie wouldn't be turning a blind eye to her super morbidly obese daughter entering into a relation slop with a death feeder. The whole power dynamic between Tammie and Amber is essentially the complete opposite of the dynamic between Mama Lynn and Amber. Mama Lynn feels like she owes Amber for her nightmarish childhood, and is extremely susceptible to guilt and remorse for that period of her life. The same cannot be said about Tammie. When I look back on Amber and Tammie's past and lay it all out plainly, it becomes increasingly difficult not to label Tammie as a saint. At one point in time, Tammie's house was host to her, her husband, her daughter, her daughter's husband, her 2 grandchildren, her drug-addicted sister, and her narcissistic spoiled brat of a niece. Tammie opened her home to these people, fed them, clothed them, supported them, and was rewarded with nothing but public disrespect and lies from Amberlynn. Amber even had the sheer audacity to complain that the house was untidy, that there wasn't a lot of food, and that they never did anything fun.
There was so many people there. My mom had to sleep on the floor. Like, there was nowhere for us to sleep. Like, there was so many people living there. It was a mess. There was cockroaches. Like, there was no food.
And one last detail to remember, Amberlynn was an unemployed adult at this time.
I didn't get a job because I had nothing. I didn't have a car. Like, there was no such thing as Ubers back then. I was stuck in this house by myself. There was so many people there. Didn't have anything. I didn't have like internet. I had nothing.
Eventually, the drug-addled antics became too much, forcing Tammie to boot them out. If anything, Amberlynn owes Aunt Tammie for taking advantage of her hospitality and kindness. Tammie has seen it all, which makes manipulation a challenge for a scheming, vindictive bastard like Amberlynn. Not that she didn't try, of course. During a period of time when Momolin was homeless, Amberlynn used knowledge of her aunt's infidelity to coerce her into giving Momolin a place to live, threatening to expose the affair to Tammie's then husband, who was a known violent abuser.
And that very next day is when Amber tried to blackmail me, and it was to try to get my sister to come live with me again, because I would not let her back into my home. She said, I wonder what your husband would think if she knew you were doing what you were doing with the karaoke guy.
Amberlynn was willing to jeopardize her own aunt's safety, the aunt who had sheltered her during her time of need, just to get what she wanted. During these live stream conversations with Geordie, Aunt Tammie came across as genuine and believable, if not a little erratic. She came under scrutiny for being messy and for taking this drama online instead of dealing with it personally. I don't agree though. Amberlynn has routinely put her aunt on blast with personal issues on her channel, using a cavalcade of lies and deceit to paint her aunt as an unreasonable psychopath.
This is TMI. This is probably not something I should say, but my aunt used to have a drug addiction and she beat it. My aunt also was extremely overweight.
I think Tammie was absolutely justified in meeting Amber on her own turf and going for the one thing Amberlynn covets, her online platform. Amberlynn, of course, didn't respond well. Over the course of a few live streams, she responded to Tammie's interview, the whole time mocking her and posturing, puffing her chest out and giving it the Billy Big Bollocks.
During this whole time,
The braggadocious blob reached her apex when she decided to call Tammie out, inviting her onto her next live stream to square up, but it didn't take long for her to regret that.
Let's do it. Get the fuck on my live, Tammie. Get the fuck on my live. We can do this. Square up. I'm ready for it. I am ready for it.
I mean, you know, I'm happy to be the medium here, but...
You're not going to be the medium, love. She's coming to my live. I'm not going on yours. Remember when you said no to me before? Fuck no. I will never be on your fucking channel.
I don't know if she's interested in talking with you.
Quirky.
No, probably not.
Probably not.
Oh, I'll talk to her. I'll talk to her real good.
You have abused me, Amber. You have manipulated me, Amber, for a long time because of the love I had for my sister and for you. Without me, you would not be in your mom's life today. Without me, my sister would not be in my mom's life today. I have always been forced to be the in-between person. Correct?
I don't know.
You don't know.
After cancelling her next livestream 5 minutes after it was supposed to start, many thought Amber might have bottled it, but she showed up a few days later, hoping it had all blown over. Amber spoke about how she'd cut off contact with Tammie, and she was done. Unfortunately, Tammie was listening and decided to give Amber a tinkle on the old telephone.
Hello?
Hello?
What followed was the kind of effortless, one-sided, bitch-slap ego evisceration not seen since Indiana Jones shot that wanker with the sword in Raiders of the Lost Ark. All that hot air and bluster Amber had shown previously dissipated like a fart in a tornado. Amber went from, "Let's settle this in the arena," to, "May I please ask a question, Mom?" quicker than you can say 20-piece McNugget. In all honesty, it was a bit like watching a public execution. Amber was pummeled speechless by the constant barrage of home truths Tammie was laying on her, so much so that Amber resorted to the tried and true disassociation gambit. "Amber, you weren't disassociating. This weeble warble you're doing is nothing more than performance art, meant to paint you as the quiet, meek little girl under attack from the nasty evil auntie. It's not trauma, it's petulance. Pull the other one, love. And as Tammie put it, you truly are a piece of work. The only problem for you is that we can now see your workings out written in the margins, and your usual tricks don't work anymore." After an hour-long masterclass in bamboozling a big back, I had to leave briefly for a cigarette and a glass of scotch. I could honestly watch it once a week for the rest of my life. It's up there for me with Joffrey's death in Game of Thrones, or that bit in Cabin in the Woods where they let all the monsters out in the facility. In a way, it does sort of feel like Aunt Tammie has opened Pandora's box. She admitted herself that, in watching reaction channels and documentaries such as Victims of an Empath, she's seeing her niece through a different lens, one that fits the vision she's always had of Amberlynn. She's always seen through Amberlynn's shit. See, Tammie had her number right from the start, and is responsible for my favourite bit of Amber lore ever, and I'm so glad it's made its way back into the spotlight. Back in the day, Tammie tried to convince Amber to take her own healthy packed lunches into the care home where she worked, in order to avoid eating the stodgy junk they had been feeding to the residents. Amber claimed that staff weren't allowed to take their own food in, which Tammie quickly debunked by calling the place and asking. They of course said there's no such restrictions in place, and in fact, several staff already bring their own food. Amber, panicking over being caught, took the more devious path. She concocted an ingenious plan to write out a note and stick it to the wall for a quick picture. Unfortunately for Amber, Tammie immediately clocked that it was not only Amber's own handwriting, but that Amber had also filmed that exact spot in several of her recent vlogs, where lo and behold, no sign was seen. It still makes me laugh to think that supposed 140 IQ Amberlynn Reid attempted to deceive her aunt with the most Looney Tunes-ass plan ever conceived by a functioning brain. Tammie is clearly a step ahead of Amberlynn at every turn, and I don't think there's any way Amberlynn can wriggle out of this most recent dismantling. It's full of iconic bangers like the spaghetti incident.
Remember you getting the pot of spaghetti out of the refrigerator and using the really huge utensil, taking big scoops out of the pot onto your plate, where your fucking dad said, "I think that's enough, Amber."
And pathetic Amberlynn deflections like, "Please can you not mock me?" after mocking her aunt with silly voices only days prior.
During this whole time?
I wasn't boo-hooing.
Yeah, you were.
I was crying. Can you not mock me, please? I was
Make it hard.
When someone who has spent their life fighting to help and support you sees all the hate and something clicks, that's very telling indeed. Tammie has shined a spotlight on the dynamics of a very broken and devious family unit, and in doing so, I would imagine has driven wedges between the remaining members. Thanks to Tammie, Mama Lynn now knows she was being written out of the deeds to the house inheritance without her knowledge. A house, I might add, that is not at all how I imagined it based on this feud. You might be forgiven for thinking the sisters Lynn were locking horns over some sort of sprawling private estate, when in actual fact, the house is more like a big car. It's no wonder Amberlynn never gets invited around. She'd take up a very large percentage of that floor plan. It must feel a lot like Gandalf visiting Bag End. Whether you're a Tam baby or an Am baby, the truth has never been clearer. Amberlynn took one of the most comprehensive L's since her YouTube career began, and the whole livestream is a catharsis we never really get when we talk about these bloated piss bags. I say enjoy it. Savour the smell of Amberlynn's bare ass sweating into that sofa. We may never get another one like it for a long time. At least not until Jade, or even Mama Lynn decide to spill the beans. Oh, and also, go and give Tammie a subscribe. She's posting new screenshots and proof of her side in this whole drama even now as we speak, so go and give her some words of support. I think it's safe to say Tammie earned herself a few more nieces and nephews, myself included.